Good evening. You're watching Markets Tomorrow right here on ET Now. Before we, of course, address the headlines, here's Wipro's numbers that have just come out for you on your screens. The net profit has come in at 1,800 crore rupees versus 1,930 crore rupees. That's down 6.7%. This is a big miss from what the ET Now poll was suggesting, which was putting the PAT at 2,140 crore rupees. In fact, we were expecting a growth of about 11% on a sequential basis. This is on a consolidated basis. Remember, that's inclusive of the products. That means IT services as well as revenues. Take a look at what exactly is happening with IT services, by the way, and what exactly is the revenue posted over there. We'll also get you a flavor of what is the guidance, if any, that the company has given for Q1 FY19. And there seems to be a 1.3% sequential growth in the IT revenue services. This is the rupee revenues, which has come in at 13,411 crore rupees. Again, this as well seems to be like a miss from the expectations. The IT services revenue was seen at 13,626 crore rupees. It's clocked in only at about 13,411 crore rupees. So this is going to be a bit disappointing when it comes to the IT revenues. Currently, I think you have some other numbers as well.
I believe the total IT revenue is in line because it's come in at 13,824 rupees. So yeah, net IT services has done pretty okay, completely in line with the estimates.
Currently, I think the IT services, inclusive of the products, is at 13,824 crore rupees. If you compare that with the poll, it's just about more or less coming in line with expectations. So the products part of it has done about okay, coming in line with expectations. But I think if we look at IT services, that is something that has disappointed. I'm also going to try and call out what exactly has been the guidance, if the company does give that in this, or we have to perhaps wait for the press release. But this is, of course, the details that we have for you at this point of time. IT services 13,412, up 1.3% sequentially. A disappointment. The net profit as well is a disappointment. I don't believe. We also have the BFSI revenues that have come by. The BFSI number has come in at 3,000. It's coming at about 3,900 odd crore rupees versus 3,700 odd crore rupees. So that's posting a bit of a growth figure over there.
And Movina, what is also important is that the street is very keen on knowing the management's guidance as far as the health and the communication businesses are concerned. So clearly we're seeing a fall there as well. The health services revenue has come in at 8,575 million, I think it is, in INR terms, and the communication revenue has come in at 786 crore rupees. We have Ravi Menon from Elara Capital joining us. Hi, Ravi. We have the numbers of Wipro with us, and clearly on most counts it's been a miss. Was it something that you had anticipated, or are you also a bit of has it come in as a bit of a surprise?
So yeah, this is definitely a negative surprise, compared to our expectation. But we hadn't factored in, into our numbers the impact of Aircell's bankruptcy. I think it must be Aircell that they referred to when they spoke of a communications client in India declaring bankruptcy. Adjusted for that, I'm not sure how these numbers would look. Perhaps not so bad at first glance. So I think the most important figure that we should focus on now is the guidance for the next quarter. If that is in the range of 1 to 3%, I think that should be reasonably good.
Right. And what is your view on IT services? That one, while even ET Now estimate had suggested a very small uptick of about 2.5–3%, but it's been completely flat this time around. Even the health and communication businesses have seen a degrowth as far as the revenues are concerned on a quarterly basis, quarter-on-quarter basis. Was that something that the street was expecting as well, or is it going to impact the stock price tomorrow much more than what it did today?
Healthcare, I think there is some seasonality there. November is usually the time when open enrollment happens. So for the health plan services unit, Q3 should be a good quarter, and Q4 we should see that come off with the seasonality. So I wouldn't worry too much about a decline in healthcare, if it's say less than 2% QOQ. So, and communications, we already know that they had a problem with one client in India. So, again, that wouldn't be very worrying either.
Okay, fair enough. We're also joined now by Pankaj Sharma, who tracks the company very closely. Pankaj, hi, good evening. Thanks for joining in. It looks like a weak set of numbers from Wipro. May I add yet again, because we have the profit which has come in below expectations. The revenues as well has come in below expectations. I've just got the IT services EBIT margins, which has compressed from 14.8% in the previous quarter to 14.4%, and that is on account of a decline in the EBIT. What's your view on how the IT services business has performed?
Yeah, good evening. I think overall this is not a great result. Of course, the company had given an indication that there would be some impact on their results because of one-off issues. But even if we consider those challenges, I think the results are not great. Also, in terms of both revenue as well as profitability, I think the numbers are not looking that great. Of course, as we go forward and the guidance the company would provide for how they would do in next quarter and the coming year, I think that would be the key. But I expect that tomorrow morning the stock should correct and it would be in a range of at least 2 to 4% kind of a decline tomorrow morning.
Pankaj, we've seen a contraction on the margins front, and most of the estimates that we've been going through have actually expressed the fact that Wipro could actually see an expansion and from a decent a decent kind of a margin. 17% is what the ET Now poll suggested, but clearly we're seeing a contraction here. I mean, what could be some of the some of the headwinds that actually weighed in on the margins?
See, I think what has happened in the sector is that there are times when, like one of the companies, TCS, has delivered very good numbers in terms of almost everything, and in that kind of a situation, there is a definitely increase in terms of how the other companies would look at the cost. So I think there is something. Of course, we have to look at the final details and the fine print, but it seems that the cost part is not being able to control, and also in terms of the revenue growth, which is not coming as expected. I think it would definitely lead to a pressure on profitability. So it is a combination of both. When you are not able to grow your revenues well, and the costs are not you are able to control, and in that case you will have a problem in terms of profitability. So I think it's a situation which is bad from both the sides, either in terms of revenue or in terms of your cost control.
Yeah, and Ravi, in fact, what you were as well alluding to in relation to the bankruptcy of certain customers, Wipro has said that they are recognizing the provision for insolvency of 2 customers. But if you consider that, Ravi, would you say that these numbers are just about okay, because we are talking about 2 major customers from whom revenue has essentially been halted?
See, I mean, without knowing the quantum of that provision, I'm not sure, but I think that that's the only logical explanation, because this is too big a miss otherwise.
All right. Also, the fact that an important factor which the street would want to keenly watch out for is the fact that the new initiatives and strategies implemented by the new CEO. On that front, I mean, would you like to highlight for the benefit of viewers some key strategies or some key developments that have occurred post the CEO took charge?
So I think one of the most important things is, how he has led this acquisition of Wipro and designed it. And I think, these 2 acquisitions should position Wipro well in digital.
Okay. Gentlemen, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us and helping our viewers understand, break down what exactly went by for Wipro in Q4. Weak set of numbers, that one can say unanimously. The net profits have just about declined when the street was actually expecting an increase to come by in the net profits. The profit has declined 6.5% on a sequential basis. We have the IT services revenues, which has gone up only 1.3% sequentially, whereas the growth that was expected by the street was in fact much higher. So it has been a bit of a disappointing set of numbers. The IT EBIT margins as well have declined. But yes, of course, at 5 p.m., Jatin Dalal, the CFO of Wipro, as well as Abid Neemachwala, the CEO of the company, will be with us to talk about what went down in Q4. So please do stay tuned right here on ET Now as we dissect Wipro, especially after 2 of its peers did come out with a decent set of numbers. At least for TCS came out with a decent set of numbers, but Wipro clearly has not been able to match up to its big peer.